Every day in business starts with a number. Output, productivity, efficiency, all measured in numbers, because data drives decisions. And if fire or water damage strikes, the numbers for your business can slow or even stop. Unless you know this one, 1-800-SERVPRO, the #1 choice in commercial cleanup and restoration.
Welcome to Sliced Pizza Bar, where we're passionate about great pizza. All of our food is made fresh daily using only the finest ingredients and techniques. Our chefs put their heart and soul into each pie, and we're sure you'll taste the difference. Located on both the Indian Rocks and Madeira beaches, chances are we're right around the corner for your next pizza night or dinner date. Come give us a try and experience the slice difference.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Hello everyone, welcome live to 3 Wide TV, tonight's broadcast of the American Sim Racing Series Hacksaw Premier All-Star Race. That's right, tonight all of the winners from the 2020 American Sim Racing Series all joined together for the All-Star Race. I'm Peter Short, and joining me in the booth here tonight is Greg Rentz. And Greg, we have a bunch of winners out there on the racetrack. It's always good to win one of these races, but it also punches you a ticket into this very race. And I did the math earlier. We had 16 different winners in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series this year. And we had additional winners like Mitch Brown in the field here tonight, who won in the Thursday Night Throwback Cup Series. And it's just great to bring them all together here tonight. And of course, we also had a couple of drivers transfer in from last night's All-Star Open. Both Grant Brown in the number 52 machine and Michael Whiting in the number 44 Brookside Equipment Sales machine in tonight's race through that All-Star Open. But I'll tell you what, Greg, it is going to be very interesting here tonight. A very slippery race car, very slippery racetrack. It's going to be a good one here for the fans and the All-Star.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it, Peter. I've been looking forward to this race ever since it was announced. Cup cars on the Nashville Fairgrounds. Are you kidding me? We haven't seen the Cup cars hit this track since the 1980s. We saw what that looked like this past week on 3Y TV with the championship race of the Boswell's Country Roads Harley-Davidson Thursday Night Throwback Series. Tonight, we're going Cup car racing at Nashville for 100 laps. The All-Star race. You had to win a race to get into this race here tonight. This is going to be awesome tonight.
And speaking of All-Star and this racetrack, Greg Evans in the number 2 machine, he picked up the win this past weekend in the Virtual All-American 400, of course, put together by the American Sim Racing Series and, of course, the American Esports Association. The AEA puts that race together every single year, and they're already prepping for next year. So Greg Evans, he not only was your Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series champion, as well as the Surf Pro Wheelman Showdown champion over there in the American Sim Racing Series this year, but he also picked up that All-American 400 this past weekend. You can see right there, there's the real sign for the real All-American 400, but of course these drivers know how to put one on virtually as well, and big congratulations to Greg Evans for picking up that win.
Yeah, a lot of ASRS action at the Nashville Fairgrounds lately. It all started with that throwback race that was right here on 3Y TV. You can catch it in the archives. Not only did they also run the All-American 400 and the 100-lap prelim, they also ran modifieds here this week. So a lot, and I mean a lot, Peter, of racing at Nashville here this week for the American Sim Racing Series. It all concludes tonight with the All-Star race for 100 laps.
Yeah, and of course, tonight is the final race of 2020 for a lot of these drivers here in the ASRS, and I'm sure a lot of them will be glad to get 2020 in the rear, but that will definitely not be the case for Greg Evans. With all the wins he picked up, he won 12 times on the Cup Series schedule this year. And you know what, Greg? Like I said, I did the math earlier. I went back and looked, and between John Jenkins in the number 7 and the number 2, Greg Evans, those two cars won 17 races between them, but we still had 16 different winners on the Cup Series side. So beyond those two drivers, a lot of different competitors got to victory lane this season.
And it's very unfortunate that John Jenkins could not be here tonight in the number 7, because no doubt, Peter, no doubt he would have been a threat to win in this race here tonight. Unfortunately, the real life 9-to-5 calls, and John Jenkins not able to be here tonight, but still a stacked field here at the fairgrounds. As you see, Will Worsler in the number 29 was fastest in practice, and he's lined up to go qualifying, which is underway here at the Nashville Fairgrounds. Will Worsler was fastest in practice. He rolls out onto the facility for his qualifying lap. Peter, take him for a lap around Nashville.
Yeah, here he is coming out into the backstretch. And I'll tell you what, there's quite a bit of banking here at this racetrack. That number 29, he's going to run up there near the wall to try and get a launch here onto the start-finish line. That's what you want to do here to your qualifying laps. You maximize your speed there going down off into turn number 1. You see him running a little bit up the racetrack a little bit. We're going to see a lot of that here tonight. Oh, man, was that a wiggle? That was a wiggle. And bam, up into the wall. He's going to have to head back to pit road to pick up lap number 2, see if he can go to the top of the board there. There's the number 72, Michael Krobach. He's going to come past the start-finish line here. We've been hearing from these drivers that the bumps, you just saw that number 72 kind of go over those bumps right there. The bumps are very tricky, and it can happen right there with the 72. A Krobach has now gone around. Now we're going to pick up the number 98 is Sam Maxwell, who into that number 98 Ford Mustang. He was one of the drivers who was vocal about this setup. But I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter what setup they're driving, Greg, they're all driving the same setup. So they're all going to have to fight with the same setup. And this is the type of situation that really separates the best drivers from those who are just kind of, hanging around in the field. So sounds like it's a perfect storm for the All-Star race.
Yeah, it is absolutely a thing of trying to get the most out of the setup. And like you said, Peter, you're going to see who can get a grip on the setup and who can't. You're watching James Lorella, winner at Homestead back in, I believe, March it was, got him locked into the All-Star race here as he goes out for his qualifying lap in the number 3. So far, just 4 cars have taken time. Worsler was able to get to the top of the board in the number 29 in a 17.701 over Maxwell, Krobach, and Jim Foose. And interesting note, Peter, of these 4 drivers that have set a time thus far, as you watch Troy Haight in the number 28, Maxwell, Krobach, and Foose all got themselves in based off Grand National Series victories here instead of the Cup Series. Actually, Foose got in via a truck win and a super late model win this season. So it does not just apply to the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series. It applies to any ASRS sanctioned race, including the Development Series, the Truck Series, and even the Super Late Model Series that only ran 2 races. Foose and Jimmy McKee were the winners of those. As you see, Chris Bouchard, he was locked in via Pocono victory earlier this season in the PC Series. There's Mitch Brown. He won a couple races on the Cup side this year, including the other All-Star race that the American Sim Racing Series ran at Charlotte. As you also see Greg Evans, this year's champion, on screen down there. I love the new side-by-side you've got here, Peter.
Yeah, definitely showing off a new picture-in-picture graphic here this week. Definitely great to have that. And you can see Greg Evans there in your bottom right-hand corner of your screen. He's coming to the stripe. And where is he going to land on the timing charts? He's going to go to 5th. Mitch Brown, though, in the 51. We know Mitch has put in a ton of laps around this joint over the last few weeks, preparing for that All-American 400. So not all too surprised that he's going to jump to top of the board. Of course, he was the 2019 Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series champion as well. Definitely a lot of pace out of that car. There's the number 50 of Bouchard working his way around the racetrack right now. Of course, he did make the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series playoffs and didn't quite have the end to the season he was hoping for, missing the last couple of races, but definitely out there right now trying to find a little bit of grip with that number 50, because I'm watching these cars around this racetrack, and I was just about to say that back end is really dancing around. As, oh man, there's Seville going around. Looked like the number 50 of Bouchard was just about to lose control. This is going to be a very slick race here tonight, Greg.
Oh, absolutely, Peter. Looking forward to it. You see Jason Stewart in the number 1. He got in via wins in 3 series, the Grand National, Trucks, and Throwback Series. He visited victory lane in all 3 of those series, so he is on track now for Dirty Bird Sim Racing in the number 1. The 101 on your ticker, but number 51 on screen, Mitch Brown on top of the board right now, 17.586. He's been looking forward to getting back in the Cup cars here with the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series as Stewart goes 8th out of 17.850. So Mitch Brown looking forward to this one here tonight.
Yeah, we have had a couple of drivers not take qualifying time yet. Brian Yazik in the number 55. He's one of those drivers. He actually just hasn't even gotten out there on the racetrack yet. So be interesting to see if Yazik decides to start in the back. We saw that out of him a couple of times there late in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series season. So will the 55 come from the back? Is Bouchard still fighting with that number 50? Just wagging the tail all around this racetrack. It is going to be very, very tricky. I got to have a quick word with some of the drivers saying that they think perhaps maybe the setup is bottoming out a little bit. But you know what, Greg? I just got to say, we're going to find out which one of these drivers have been practicing on dirt recently, if Christopher Bouchard has any indication of how this race is going to be like for all the drivers.
So we are definitely in for quite a wild 100 laps here tonight, Peter. 4 minutes left in qualifying. You see the drivers there that have yet to post a time. Got to talk again to Michael Whiting and Grant Brown. They got themselves in via the open, and it's a little different because it was originally just going to be the race winner getting himself into the open, which was Michael Whiting, but due to some circumstances at the end of the race, the decision was made to also allow Grant Brown into the race as well.
Yeah, so Grant Brown and Michael Whiting transferring in from last night. Great to have both of them in the field. Let's see if we can get a quick word with your pole sitter. That would, of course, be the 101 of Mitch Brown. Mitch Brown, Peter Short here in the 3-wide TV booth. Looks like you're going to be starting this thing on the pole. How's that car driving here tonight?
Okay. We're going to see how it goes in the race. We got 2 extra sets in the pits, so we're just going to kind of take it easy first 25 or 30 laps. Try to get the tires underneath us, see how this thing feels in the long run. I feel like not a lot of cars here tonight. I think we can at least maybe 1 or 2 long runs. You know, hopefully the longer we have green flag runs, I think we'd be better off. But we're just going to take it lap by lap.
Yeah, we've seen that these cars out here are a little slippery, to say the least. Definitely going to be interesting to watch the drivers managing their throttle control. But hey, you've got a lot of lap times on this racetrack over the last few weeks. How about the preparation for the All-American 400? Do you think that's going to help out here tonight?
Kind of not really, because it's 2 different kind of cars. The super late model drive is a little more it's not as loose as this car is. I think this car handles the bumps just a slight bit better, especially coming off a 2. But you know, the laps definitely help, but it's just 2 different cars, so we're just gonna try to play it safe first 25 laps and go from there.
Well, if your qualifying time has any indication of your pace here tonight, Mitch, you're definitely very, very quick, winning the pole here by what appears to be about 0.12 seconds, so over a tenth of a second. So definitely lighten it up here in the qualifying session. But best of luck here in the All-Star, Mitch. And maybe you can walk away with another All-Star win, excuse me.
Yes.
All right, well, that is Mitch Brown. And Greg sounds like he's, pretty confident going into this thing. Just hopes to kind of settle down, find a rhythm, and get around this racetrack.
Oh, yeah, for sure, Peter. Mitch Brown is a short track guy. He knows how to get it around these 1 mile and under facilities, and he's had so much success at them over the years in ASRS competition and other versions in the iRacing server, other series, and even official racing. Mitch Brown has had a lot of success on the short track side, so definitely looking forward to seeing what he's got here tonight at Nashville. And then you find the likes of Worsler, Maxwell, Rogers, and Krobach rounding out the top 5. Krobach won 2 championships in the ASRS here this season. He won both the Serve Pro Grand National Series and the Truck Series this season, Peter. So Krobach winning championships in both classes. Still looking for that first Hacksaw PC's Premier Series victory, but looking very stout here tonight as well. Up in 5th on the board right now in qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 72, HPPsimulation.com Ford, very, very quick this year. Tried to get to victory lane on the Cup Series side, just wasn't quite able to do so. But I'll tell you what, keep an eye on that 72 here tonight because he knows how to keep that car nice and square. He only had 1 caution against them all season long, Greg, and that was coming right there in the final race when we went to Phoenix. So if there's any one driver that's going to do well in these slippery conditions, it'll probably be the 72 of Michael Krobach, although I probably just gave him the commentator's curse. We'll have to find out here tonight. 100 laps around this joint, but let's go through tonight's starting lineup.
I will do that, Peter. Starting on the pole tonight, number 101 on the ticker, but he'll be number 51 on the screen is Mitch Brown in the Dirty Bird Sim Racing Toyota with Will Worsler to the outside in the number 29. Sam Maxwell got himself locked in on the last night of the season of the Grand National Series with a win at Phoenix. Kelsey Rogers was the winner at Bristol on the Cup side. We talked about Michael Krobach in the number 72, winning the championships in both the Grand National and the Truck Series. The Hacksaw PC's champion, Greg Evans, starts alongside him in 6th with 11 wins on the season. Alan Young in the number 24, the inaugural winner of the Throwback Series. He rolls off 7th with Jason Stewart, wins in 3 divisions this season ASRS competition, rolls off 8th. Troy Haight in the number 28 here in the All-Star race tonight with Christopher Bouchard, the Pocono winner, rounding up the top 10, Peter.
Starting on the inside of row number 6 will be the number 42 of Jim Foose, the last car to take time. Brian Yazik in the number 55 will be starting alongside him on row number 6. Keep an eye on that Ford Mustang as he tries to charge to the front. On row number 7 on the inside, Tyler Seville, who picked up a couple of wins this season in that number 11 machine. And alongside him, the number 52 of Grant Brown, who transferred in from last night, but will have to receive an end of longest line penalty. So he will go to the back since he transferred in from last night's race. On row number 8 on the inside will be the number 3 of James Lorello, your winner from Homestead, Miami earlier this season, as well as the number 30 of Jeremy Banning. Then on row number 9 on the inside is the number 44 of Michael Whiting, who will already be starting at the tail end of the longest line because he transferred in from last night's race. And Bradley in the 01, he will not be starting the All-Star event here tonight. Pace car lights are off. The field got the 1 to go signal that last time by, so we're about to go All-Star Racing to wrap up the 2020 American Sim Racing Series Hacksaw PC's series. And I gotta say, these drivers put on a stellar show all season long. There's a playlist here on YouTube. Make sure you check that one out. All 35 races were absolutely stellar, and we're about to add the All-Star into the 2020 American Sim Racing Series lure because the number 51 right there of Mitch Brown right there at the front of the field, he's going to get us underway. Green flag waves here at Nashville.
Off in the turn number 1, it's Brown and Worsler side by side breaking away from Maxwell and Rogers and company. Brown going to try to clear Worsler into turn number 3. He will. Gets up in front of the 29, going up to that top group that we talked about in qualifying. 1 down, 99 to go. Mitch Brown leads the opening lap.
And the field pretty much getting all single file all the way back through the back of the pack. So you're watching the 51 and Mitch Brown get out to a little bit of an early lead here. Will Worcester running in second. Sam Maxwell, look at the number 98 machine. He's trying to make a move underneath the 29. Great qualifying time for that number 98 is Sam Maxwell. We saw that a couple of times, Greg, in the Thursday Night Throwback Series brought to you by Boswell's Country Roads from Sam Maxwell. Definitely a fantastic qualifier. Of course, the man who put together Sam Maxwell custom steering wheels and has Hacksaw PCs on the hood. Make sure you check them out, hacksawpc.com. There is a link in the description. And here comes Sam Maxwell on the inside. Power move out of that Ford.
Nice work there by Sam Maxwell into the number 98, getting the nose in front of Worcester, and now going for the lead here on Mitch Brown in that number 98. He will get it. Move. Maxwell the second, going after the lead for Brown. They're side by side off of 2.
You see those cars just jumping over those bumps that they have down there coming out of turn number 2. Maxwell now getting over those bumps in turn number 3, just waiting to put the throttle down as we have been clean and green so far. I'm sure a lot of the field will be glad to see that, including these front 2. But Maxwell getting the drive out of turn number 2. That's where I've seen he's been really strong, Greg. He's found a little bit of grip down there where he can get on the throttle. That's how he was able to pull alongside with the number 29 of Will Worcester. Now he's trying to do the same here with the 51. Lunges off into turn number 1. Can he pull up in front of him? Yes, he can. New race leader, Sam Maxwell.
No problems behind. Kelsey Rogers in the number 34 goes around off of turn number 2, and that will put us under the first caution of the night. Kelsey Rogers off of turn number 2.
And it looks like that number 34 machine, he was running up there inside the top 5 when this happened. So we'll see this on the replay. Just down there, hits those bumps. You kind of see it hit those bumps, and it just never really stabilized there, Greg. It just seemed like it hit those bumps, and when the shocks were trying to get that car stabilized, it wasn't exactly super stable. We'll go on board here with Kelsey Rogers. Watch these bumps that he hits. Oh, he was a little loose there in the middle of the corner. Then he hits those bumps, and I think when he tried to get back on the throttle, it just wasn't quite set, and he goes to loop it into the inside wall. But doesn't look like a lot of damage on that race car. So Kelsey Rogers will have to start at the back of the field here, lose all that track position, but hopefully no significant damage.
Watching, I don't know if he actually touches anything here. Just barely kisses the wall, so won't be too major on the number 34. He's going to come down, get himself 4 fresh Goodyear tires, and he's going to get rolling again. But how about this number 98 of Sam Maxwell, Peter, leading the way here in the early stages of the All-Star race as Mitch Brown led the opening few laps. Maxwell now up to the lead. And hard to believe, lap 10, we're already clicking away laps. We've only got 90 to go, and it's a short track race. This is going to click away very quickly.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. I was going to see if we could get a quick word possibly with Michael Whiting in the number 44 machine, because Whiting, of course, was the winner of last night's open race, but I'm not seeing him here in the channels for us to have a quick word with driver of the number 44 Brookside Equipment Sales Machine, but we will check in on him. He's currently being scored down in 16th position right now, right in front of Kelsey Rogers. So out of everyone in the field, looks like Kelsey Rogers the only driver to come down and take tires. Now, Greg, here tonight, they do have 3 sets of tires, including the set of tires that they started on. So they have plenty of tires here tonight for this 100-lap feature.
Yeah, plenty of tires to go. And with that, you can kind of split it up into 33-lap segments if you wanted to. You start it off, you go to lap 33 or so, you pit. You come in again around lap 66, and you're good to go to the finish on tires if you plan on using all 4 or all 2 of those sets of tires you have on pit road. Will we see someone try the one-stopper if we can keep catching cautions like this?
I think we will, but hopefully we only see a one-stopper out of the pace truck because it is down on pit road. Green flag back in the air. Sam Maxwell, the number 98, gets us back to green. He gets a fantastic restart. He's going to clear the number 51 as they get single file back behind him. But look who's gotten himself up into 3rd, Greg. It is your Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series champion and winner of the All-American 400 this past week, Greg Evans. He definitely knows how to get around this racetrack. He was dominant here in the super late model after an early race action. Took out a couple of the key contenders. But he definitely has led a lot of laps at this joint over the last couple of weeks, and he's trying to get himself back up towards the front here early on. A little bit further back, there's Christopher Bouchard and Jim Foose doing battle. That's a battle for the 9th position right now as they start to get a little bit more racy now here as we work lap number 14.
Trying to just click laps away and get the setup under control is what these drivers are doing right now. They're just trying to hang back, get some laps clicked away, and then start going for it. Biggest mover of the race so far, Brian Yazik in the number 55, started 12th up to 6th. He's already +6 on the evening in the number 55. The HPP Simulations Mustang trying to get up there and catch his teammate Michael Krobach. Big slide out of Stewart behind him in the number 1. He's going to lose a couple spots. Yazik got in with a win at Kentucky and a win in the 87 cars, the Throwback Series at Daytona.
Yeah, definitely. Yazik came away with that win at Daytona. I'll tell you what, I'm sure he was a little surprised with that win, but he definitely had a stellar race at Daytona. Was able to put it all together right there at the end. Same thing with Kentucky. He was able to kind of sneak through with a late win. Meanwhile, a little bit further back in the pack, some big wiggles out of, I think that's Grant Brown there, and as well as the one of Jason Stewart, who's right in front of him on the inside of the number 11 right there. That's Tyler Seville, and Seville here back in the 11th position for right now as they continue to battle for what would be a top 10 position. Right in front of them is Jim Foose running in 9th. Now they go back to single file. Meanwhile, back up towards the front, the 2 machine of Greg Evans. He is all over the back bumper of the number 51. We saw a little bit there of the picture-in-picture of him. Oh, man, that was almost contact. I thought that the number 2 was going to run the number 51, and we're going to see him spinning across the racetrack. But Greg Evans knows his fenders and their locations pretty much better than anyone.
Yeah, these are your previous 2 champions of the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series. Greg Evans won it this year. Mitch Brown picked up the championship last year in the number 51, Peter. So Mitch Brown also knows how to get it done here in Hacksaw PC's Premier Series competition, as does Evans. 2019 champion versus 2020 champion right now. This is for second. And the guy who's liking seeing this is Sam Maxwell because he's able to drive away here in the number 98.
Oh, there's that contact. There's still contact between those two. They're still bumping and banging. We stay green, and that has really allowed Sam Maxwell to get away. But the 2 and the 51 still together out there on the racetrack. Possibly a little bit of a nudge out the back of the 51 by the 2. Ooh, yep, just a nudge, as I was saying a lap before, that the 2 knows where his fenders are. Just a little bit of a nudge. He has been able to make that pass on the number 51 machine, but that could come back a little bit later in the race as we get one more look at it. Fantastic job by the rest of the field as a caution flag has now come out at the racetrack. As we get one more look at this one, we'll try and figure out the reason for the yellow. It appears to be James Lorello causing the yellow in the number 3 machine. There he is. We'll go back and get a look of this one here, Greg, and see exactly what happened. He's running back here around the 11th, 12th position or so, goes up the racetrack. That's Grant Brown to his outside coming out of turn number 2. Oh, that was net code there. No question. There was a little bit of net code off Grant Brown or James Lorello. We're right on board with here, but that is a darn shame. Oh, man, something must have happened there with Will Worcester as well. Not sure what happened there, but that was in the lead up to the caution flag. And there's that, I think, a little bit of net code that sent the number 3 spinning across the racetrack. And that is a darn shame for James Lorello.
Peter, I can tell you exactly what happened with Will Worcester. He was caught up in that incident with Brown and Evans. Watch right here. Watch from the aerial view. Brown's going to come up right there. He got into him and just was not able to get back up to speed. Before that caution came out, I was going to say that Will Worcester was the big loser in that one because he suffered some damage on the left front of the car and just was not able to get back down in front. And there you see it all start right there between Lorello and Worcester and Seville and Brown and company right there. That's what happened with Will Worcester. He got caught up in the Evans-Brown shenanigans about half a lap before that.
Yeah, and Will Worcester definitely quite a bit of damage on that number 29 machine. You see him just barely making it onto pit road there. He's coming down to get as much of that damage fixed as possible. But the big question now is he going to go off sequence here, Greg? Because he can come down, he can get tires, and possibly get off sequence with the rest of the field. Looks like he just kind of had to go through pit road there because he was in danger of falling down a lap as you see the field going on by. But we already have the 1-2 green signal. We're going green this time.
Getting set for the restart. Sam Maxwell led the most laps thus far. Peter, we are already a quarter of the way through this race. 26 down, 75 to go. 25 down, 75 to go. Excuse me. Working lap number 26. Maxwell and Evans, your front row for this restart. Brown, Krobach, Yazik, your top 5. Keep your eyes peeled on that battle for second. And does anything come of what happened just before the caution? Green flag back in the air. Sam Maxwell breaking away in the early stages. Greg Evans with duct tape on board, looking on the outside. Watch for the champion to make a move.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I'm really impressed with how Sam Maxwell is driving this racetrack in that number 98 machine. You see that front bumper of the number 2, Greg Evans, as the number 98 just pulling away just a little bit further back in the pack. The number 55 of Brian Yazik going toe-to-toe with his Loud Pedal Motorsports teammate. The 72 of Michael Krobach now going toe-to-toe with Alan Young and the number 24 Young Gun Creations machine. And remember, Greg, Alan Young picked up that win at North Wilkesboro in the Thursday night Boswell's Country Roads Harley-Davidson Throwback Series. And again, one of these old school short tracks where Alan Young picked up a win, and he just moved himself into the top 5.
Nice job for Alan Young in the number 24. He was running very well here in that 150 lap race.
Man, a little bit of scary moments a little bit further back in the pack. That is Grant Brown. We'll go back and get a look at this one. Was there any contact, or did he just break loose coming out of the corner? Here we go, on board with Grant. Got Tyler Seville to his outside. Yeah, oh man, just might have been a little bit too much beans. Fantastic save out of that number 52 machine. You couldn't have made a better save if you tried. Able to keep that thing going straight. And remember, Greg, he was one of those drivers who had to start at the back. He was very, very quick in practice in that number 52 machine. He's got himself up to 13th, and he's going to try and climb himself up through the field even further. But back up at the front, it seems like Sam Maxwell's been able to get to a half-second lead. And you have to go a little bit further back to this battle right here. That's Jim Foose in the number 42. Great to see him in a 3-wide TV broadcast race. Don't get to say that all too often, and I'm sure he is glad to be in this one after having some connection issues right at the start of the All-American 400. I hate to rub salt in the wound there for Jim Foose, but it was definitely a tough break not seeing him in the races. Whoa, boy, the 11 of Seville there went up the racetrack a little bit, almost contact between the two, but Jim's got himself into the top 8. He's running in 8th right now.
Nice job here indeed for Jim Foose. Keep your eyes on Seville as well, as she knows how to get it done here on the short tracks. North Wilkesboro winner in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series for Tyler Seville, so can he duplicate what he was able to do there at North Wilkesboro this season? Top 5 as they run: Maxwell, Evans, Brown, Krobach, and Young. He's able to clear Yazik in the 55.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there has been some good racing here. Pretty much the whole field, we've seen a couple of spins here in the first little bit of the race as we have a battle now for the 3rd position. That's Michael Krobach in the HPPsimulation.com Loud Pedal Motorsports machine. Got Spotlights visual spotter system on the back, of course, a Midwest Simulations product. They typically sponsor our pole shootout that we have in the Hacksaw PC, so make sure to check out Midwest Simulations and their Spotlights project. In fact, there was a link in the American Sim Racing Series drivers page for a little bit of a coupon for Spotlights if you wanted to pick up some Spotlights. So make sure you check out the American Sim Racing Series Facebook page for that, because Krobach is very, very a very big supporter of that Spotlights project, and definitely a very cool thing to have. Meanwhile, a little bit further back in the pack, this is the 2 drivers that transferred from last night's open race here. Greg going toe-to-toe, Michael Whiting and Grant Brown.
Whiting was the winner of that one, but with circumstances in the finish, they voted to allow Grant Brown in as well. Not missing a thing up front as Sam Maxwell has actually opened it up now over a second over Greg Evans. There's Banning hanging back there in the number 30 as well. As you see right there in the bottom corner of your screen, you see Sam Maxwell opening the gap up a little bit at a time over Greg Evans in the number 2. And then it's 2 seconds back to Krobach. So you see Evans right there, the champion of the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series, trying to track down Sam Maxwell, who got himself into the race with a win in the final race of the season of the Serve Pro Grand National Series at Phoenix.
Yeah, man, I got to say, Maxwell just checking out. Krobach, though, just made that pass on Mitch Brown for third. And now here comes Alan Young, your winner from back at North Wilkesboro in the Thursday night Boswell's Country Roads Harley-Davidson Series, right down there on the inside groove. This is the battle for the 4th position. Yazik, Krobach, and a little bit further back, you see the number 3 of James Lorello, who, with all his front end damage, has crept his way now back up to 8th.
Showing a little bit of a modified flair. They saw them earlier in the week as part of the All-American 400 weekend here at Nashville, but James Lorello bringing it to the Cup Series as we go on board here with Brian Yazik in the number 55. Looking back at James Lorello, Homestead winner, only ran part-time on the season, but was able to get himself into the show with that win at Homestead as you see Foose go to the outside of Kelsey Rogers.
Yeah, I gotta say that number 34, he's trying to work his way back up through the field. Remember, he was inside the top 5 when he had a spin coming out of turn number 2. So he's definitely showing some pace here. But I gotta say, Greg, for how loose these race cars are and for the quality of some of the saves we've seen here tonight, stellar side-by-side action. There's been some great racing in the mid-pack, and really this field once again telling us how it is here in the American Sim Racing Series that these drivers know how to put on a show, and they are very, very talented drivers as we ride on board here with your Pocono winner, Christopher Bouchard.
Yeah, Bouchard still representing the breast cancer awareness paint scheme on the number 50. Playoff driver this season. One win on the year. That came at Pocono. And are you at all surprised, Peter, as we check in near the back with Troy Hayton Wilborse, are you at all surprised to see Christopher Bouchard kicking that thing out sideways, knowing how his season went and how many times we saw that this year? Not surprised at all to see him kicking that thing sideways.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, we heard from Christopher Bouchard when he was eliminated from the playoffs that he just wanted to go out there and win races. He wanted to leave it all on the line, and we saw that out of him until he was no longer able to compete in the races, which was a shame to see him not quite able to finish out the season. But meanwhile, a little bit further back, this is still a battle between Mitch Brown and Alan Young. These two still going toe-to-toe with one another. And look at the number 3 of James Lorello. Now, he is on an alternate strategy in that number 3 Glassdoor Brewing Chevrolet at the back of this 4-car train as Alan Young, big slide there out of the number 24. He's going to have to give up a couple of positions. One to Brian Yazik. Is he going to have to give up a spot to the number 3 of Lorello? He might have to, as we'll go back and watch this one here on this replay. Watch on board. Watch the hand movements out of this number 24.
And go into turn 3, and right there, he's kicking the thing to the right. That is dirt track racing right there, Peter. You throw that thing in the corner, you're turning that wheel to the right through the corner, and that was pure dirt track there out of Alan Young. Outstanding save by him. Cost him a couple spots as he falls back to 7th, but wow. Alan Young, great save. Caution is out right at the halfway point. Hearing it may be Jason Stewart.
Jason Stewart and number 1 is a little bit back behind the field. We'll see if we can sort this out. He was running back around the 10th position or so, and he just got loose coming out of the corner, got it locked down, and was able to keep going. It's kind of a shame that did bring out a yellow, but like you said, Greg, right on the halfway mark, 51 laps down, 49 laps to go here at Nashville Fairgrounds. We'll go on board with him here, and you just see it just get out of shape there and not quite able to corral it.
Nice save, though, by Stewart to keep it off everything. Will Worcester has to take evasive action behind him. But that was a nice save there by Stewie in the number 1 car. We're going to go on board with Will Worcester again. And after getting caught up in the deal with Brown and Evans earlier, Worcster's going to be happy to get through this one. As you see the Stew break out loose right in front of him, Worcester has to pick inside or outside, and he picked correctly as he went to the bottom. As he saw Stewart sliding up the track, he knew that if he could get to the bottom, he would be okay. Pit stops here right at the halfway mark, Peter. Looks like everybody is going with that one-stop strategy. And look who won the race off pit road.
It would be none other than Greg Evans, excuse me, in that number 2 duct tape Chevy. You're not quite in this race here, Greg. I'm sure you wish you were. But yeah, Greg Evans winning that race off pit road, a slightly quicker pit stop time by that iRacing pit crew lottery. And he will look like he will lead us back to green. But what about the number 98 of Sam Maxwell, folks? I have bad news for Sam Maxwell. Speeding on pit road, he's going to have to start tail end of the longest line, which is an absolute heartbreak for the man who has dominated the first half of the race. But now we get to watch him charge through the field. Should be a fun show to see Sam Maxwell get back up to the front. And now, Greg, he kind of has the opportunity, possibly getting off pit sequence if the opportunity arises.
So Sam Maxwell, who had been the fastest car in the first half of the race, going to have to make his way through the entire field. Mitch Brown also back there in number 101, 51 on screen, as he elected to get some of that damage repaired from that incident with Evans earlier. So Brown taking some damage repair in the number 51 to get himself back out there. He's just now coming back out on the track, so we'll have to keep an eye on him as well, as I believe the lights are out on the pace truck, which means we're going to be going green to kick this second half of the race off.
Yeah, that we will. And Greg Evans is in that bright green machine. You can't miss him. What about Michael Krobach to his outside? He was very, very strong at the end of that longest run as Greg Evans. Huge jump from the number 2 machine. He is back up to the lead here in the Hacksaw PC's race. Can you believe it, Greg? I definitely can. He's led a lot of laps this season. Meanwhile, side by side back behind him, a couple of Loud Pedal Motorsports teammate. That's Brian Yazik in the 55. And Greg, remember where Yazik started? He started back there in 12th, did not set a time in qualifying. Now he's running in P2.
Remember, the final race of the season for the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series came down to a battle between Yazik and Evans, with Yazik on fresher tires, but just did not have enough time to catch up to Evans before the tires wore off. And look at him now, though, in that number 55, going all out on Greg Evans. Remember, they work together quite a bit. Evans has kind of a technical alliance, if you will, with Loud Pedal Motorsports, helping him out, and they work on setups together and such. So these guys are working together, despite the fact that Evans is in a Chevy, Yazik in a Ford with his teammate Krobach behind him. They do indeed work together, these top two up here in front. Yazik going after his old buddy here, Greg Evans, as they check in on Maxwell, already up into 11th, trying to track down 10th. Now Maxwell already up, knocking on the door of the top 10.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that number 98 Hacksaw PC's machine. Meanwhile, back at the front, Yazik had another lunge underneath Evans that last time by, but when he hit the bumps, he just couldn't get back in the throttle, so that allowed Greg Evans to get back up to the front. But here comes Yazik with a huge move coming out of turn number 4. Huge launch for that number 55 machine. Made it look like the number 2 just couldn't get the tires to grip. But there again, Evans running that higher line. He's able to hold on at least for now. Now Yazik going to try the higher line, and Yazik's got his left front to the quarter panel of the number 2, and looks like the 55 going to try that high line, and he's just going to swoop around him. New race leader, Brian Yazik.
What a move by Yaz in the number 55 to take the lead. Lorello getting up close to the wall there behind him, as you see the battle for third between Alan Young and Michael Krobach, two young, hungry drivers still looking for that first win. By the way, look who's in 5th. You can never count Tyler Seville out in any race here in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series or the ASRS in general. And here he is up in the top 5 now in that Will Worcester Racing entry. Kelsey Rogers, the Bristol winner, up here as well in the number 34. Seville won the TNT race here at Nashville last week. So Seville knows how to get it done here.
And how many people learned from what Brian Yazik just did? How many people are going to say, you know what? I'm going to try that high line pass. I'm going to kind of send it into the corner. There is a little bit more banking up near the top of the racetrack here, so there is a little bit more grip up there. And if you can send it in and just kind of time it perfectly, Greg, you can make a pass like that. You just kind of have to have a few things fall your way. But now, of course, Greg Evans, he's seen someone do it, so now he can defend now that he knows that you can make that pass.
Seville on the outside, trying to catch up to Krobach, but he's having to fend off this battle right here from Kelsey Rogers. You can see the Chevy Camaro all up in the number 11's business right now. Robot going a little bit lower through the corner in front of them, but Seville, he's not worried about that because he's trying to get up there with help from Rogers and try to hold Rogers off. And what this is doing is allowing Grant Brown in the 52 to close in. Yazik up to a half-second lead over Evans, as you see right there. Grant Brown got the Indiana Pacers on board, the number 52 here tonight in the Chevy Camaro. He's trying to track him down and get himself a win here in the All-Star race.
Oh, man, someone, I think that was Christopher Bouchard. Yeah, there he is, down by the inside wall on the backstretch. He might be bringing it to pit road in that number 50. Not 100% sure. But if he does, he will become our first retirement of the night if he decides to send it to the garage. Meanwhile, back out there on the racetrack, looks like he's just pulling it off. Meanwhile, there's a battle between Michael Whiting, James Orello, and the number 98. You could throw a blanket over those three drivers right now, because remember, Sam Maxwell trying to get himself back up towards the front of the field after a speeding penalty dropped into the tail end of the field. He's right behind the number 3 of Lorello on the high line. Now going to try and drop down to the low line behind Michael Whiting to try and make that pass. That would be a pass for the 9th position, with Lorello going from 8th to 10th in one lap. So Sam Maxwell here, Greg, he's got a lot of pace. We've seen that here tonight, but he's going to need another caution flag as, Mitch Brown in the number 51 machine is off the pace as well, coming to pit road.
If Brown doesn't make it, Maxwell might get that caution. Check in at what happened with Mitch Brown going a lap down. Greg Evans right there in the 2. Brown has a lot of damage there, just pulling off. Something else must have happened to that number 51 earlier, because he has a lot more damage than what he had a moment ago. We're back live here with the number 51. His return to the Hacksaw PC series, not what he wanted. Have an update. We do have our first retiree from the race. It is Chris Bouchard in the number 50. 28 laps to go for Brian Yazik, but Greg Evans heating it up behind him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say, Greg. I've been watching that lead shrink just a little bit as Yazik now about 0.4 of a second out front. We ride on board here with the number 2 machine of Greg Evans, your series champion this year for the American Sim Racing Series. Picked up 12 wins this year. I mean, that's an insurmountable amount of wins. Can it be 13 here tonight at Nashville? We'll have to wait and find out. But for now, Brian Yazik continues to lead. Alan Young, how about that number 24 machine in third? And Greg, we talked about Alan Young right there in the last third of a season, almost every week, saying, is this the week where Alan Young gets the victory lane? It didn't happen on the Cup Series side of things, but he's definitely knocking on the door here tonight, running in third.
Doing a spectacular job here. Winner of the TNT race at North Wilkesboro. And again, we've talked about the Throwback Series and the Hacksaw PC Series a lot this season. You can catch every single one of those races broadcast in the 3Y TV archives. There's playlists of both series in its entirety available for your viewing pleasure there. So if you want to catch any of the wins that got any of these drivers locked in, you can go and catch them in the archives. Jason Stewart there in the number 1, a couple wins in the Truck Series and Grand National side, but he got a win in the TNT Series as well. That came at Darlington. Worstler with a big slide off of turn number 4. Just saw that at the top of the screen. Will Worstler's tough night continues into number 29 after being fastest in practice. That number 29 in race trim has just not been happy.
Yeah, and you can see the lap count is winding down here. We're now down to just about 22 laps to go. So this race is going by in a hurry. Only a couple of caution flags here tonight, a handful. Definitely these drivers have put on a great show. There's been some stellar side-by-side action. It's been really fun to watch them slip sliding around the racetrack as well, Greg. I mean, we've seen some stellar saves out of drivers, and a couple of drivers get out of shape and get things back in check. And side-by-side action now between the 72 and the 34 as Krobach had a wiggle there coming out of turn number 2. That opened up the door for Kelsey Rogers. Rogers and Krobach continue to be side-by-side here down the front stretch. Can Rogers kind of send it off into turn number 1? He slides up just a little bit there. Krobach still holding strong on that high line.
Krobach trying to fight on the top there. Rogers down on the bottom. 0.2 of a second now, the gap between Yazik and Evans. Evans trying to do what he does, and that's get up there late in the going. You can see it just there at the top of the screen as Rogers clears Krobach. So Kelsey Rogers back where he was when that caution came out initially. For him, the first caution of the night, back all the way on lap number 7. He's back where he was at the time, but he has got to get up there quickly because these two right here, Yazik and Evans, they are clicking away laps quickly, and Rogers is running out of time. Yazik in the number 55, Evans in the 2, lurking in his mirror. It is going to be close. 17 to go.
And all it takes is a small mistake, a small slide out of the back of the number 55, a Yazik or Greg Evans, to turn this race on its head. Those two drivers continuing to lead the way here. Young a little bit back from them, a couple of car lengths, but I'll tell you what, he's in the prime position if those front two decide to get together as these laps continue to click by. But Greg, if a caution flag was to come out now, do you think you'd come down pit road, or do you think you'd stay out with so few laps to go?
At this point, I'd stay out because, like you said, there's not a whole lot of laps left in this one, and you've got 35 roughly laps on these tires. Think that you'd have just enough life in them to get it going, but you might see a couple guys in the back, like around 6th or 7th if you catch a caution. Just see what happens. Come in, get those 4 tires, just see what happens, and see if you can catch a couple of cautions, because remember, we see it with short track racing a lot. Cautions breed cautions. So we'll see if that is indeed the case here tonight. Brian Yazik is actually beginning to stretch back away from Greg Evans just a little bit here in the number 55. And you know, Peter, that Brian Yazik...
The 34 of Kelsey Rogers, another slide coming out of turn number 4. He was able to corral it this time. Sorry to cut you off there, Greg, but that number 34, he was looking underneath the 24 of Alan Young, but with that slide, now here comes Michael Krobach in the number 72, HPBsimulation.com Ford, right down there on the inside line, as Rogers continues to gather himself back up after that pretty big slide. Like I said, he was all over the back bumper of Alan Young, but with that slide, he now finds himself about a second behind that number 24 machine as we ride on board now back up at the front with the number 2 of Greg Evans, trying to pick up yet another win here. He won here Saturday night in the All-American 400. Can he do so here tonight in these Cup cars?
He's got to get around Brian Yazik, though. And going back to what I was saying there before the issue with the 34 of Rogers, 10 laps to go for Brian Yazik at the line. You know he wants this win, Peter, because this is his final chance to win in the throwback paint scheme to his fallen teammate Bryce Whittington in that number 55 here tonight. Been a long time. He's been paying tribute to Bryce all season long, looking for a win in that old Bryce throwback scheme.
Yeah, looking a little bit further back in the pack, Sam Maxwell in the number 98 machine trying to get around Grant Brown. That would move him up to 6th position. But at least for now, that battle calms down. Maxwell had a little bit of a slide coming out of turn number 4 that last time. So we'll go back up towards the front of the field where Yazik and the number 2 battle it out. Now under 10 laps to go. Make that 8 laps to go as they flashed across the start-finish line there into turn number 1 and 2. What does the number 2 have left in those tires? We've seen how slick it is, and you're going to need all the grip you can get here in the closing laps if you want to make a pass for the race win here in the All-Star.
We'll see just how much Evans has left. Has he been saving anything, Peter? Closing stages here at Nashville.
And we got people in the chat rooting on Brian Yazik. We got the DMLC Racing channel saying, go Yazik. Nikki Warser rooting on Yazik. Stephen Hollingsworth rooting on the number 55 machine. Man, I got to say, Evans in that number 2 machine, he's won a lot this season. He's definitely not the underdog. The number 55 right now in this battle for the win is the underdog for the All-Star here tonight. Yazik going a little bit higher up on the racetrack. We've seen that's where he feels a little bit safer. A little bit of a slide out the back of that number 2 machine. He's going to lose a little bit of ground, but he dives it into turn number 1 nice and deep. This is a good game of cat and mouse right at the front of the field as there's 5 more laps to go in the 2020 American Sim Racing Series season.
Already coming to 4 to go. That's how quickly they click away. Here at Nashville, Yazik with a slide, and Greg Evans is going to be right there to capitalize. Alan Young lurking in that number 24 if something was to go wrong. He is back there lurking, back in his Darlington throwback scheme that he drove earlier. Actually, excuse me, no, that's a different paint scheme. Got that one a little mixed up. I apologize, but 3 laps to go for Brian Yazik, opening it up once again.
Brian Yazik right now 0.4 of a second lead. We can report Sam Maxwell in the number 98, who led a good portion of the first half of this race. He's got himself back up to 6th. It won't be enough to get the win, I don't think, but fantastic recovery for him as we have 2 more laps to go for Brian Yazik, who now has over a half-second lead. He must feel pretty comfortable at this point in that HPPsimulation.com Ford. Halfway down the back, it'll be white flag this time.
Looking very, very strong. You check in with a battle going on. I believe that is Jason Stewart and Grant Brown battling it out, but the white flag is out. 1 more lap to go for Brian Yazik. He's just got to get through turns 3 and 4, and he will be set here in the All-Star race.
The All-Star of the All-Stars, Brian Yazik in the number 55, works his way coming out of turn number 4. Checkered flag in the air. Nashville Fairgrounds winner, Brian Yazik, gets it done in the final race of the 2020 American Sim Racing Series season. And I'll tell you what, he's going to pay tribute to Bryce Whitson after this one with that paint scheme. What a fitting way to round out the All-Star here and end the season.
Fantastic stuff. Flashbulbs going off here on the front stretch. And Brian Yazik, your winner of the 2020 Hacksaw PC's Premier Series All-Stars race. And he earned it. Going around Evans on the outside. And he is going to burn it down here on the front stretch.
I'm sure that is one happy camper in that number 55 machine. Got that win at Kentucky, and like you mentioned, he won also at Daytona in the Thursday Night Boston's Country Roads Harley-Davidson Series. That number 55 of Yazik, man, when he pops up, when he figures out a racetrack, he figures it out. Stellar job here tonight. Great way to round off the season. Also finishing runner-up, like you mentioned there, at Phoenix. And had Yazik had an extra lap or 2 at Phoenix, it could have been a different story, Greg. He could have gone to victory lane there as he was charging through the field on a slightly different pit strategy. He'd saved an extra set of tires and was just mowing through the field, just didn't have enough laps. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a fun interview with Brian Yazik here in just a little bit. Greg Evans coming home in second. And how about Alan Young in the number 24? We keep talking about him here on 3Wide TV, rounding out your podium finishers here tonight. Kelsey Rogers, great recovery for him. Michael Krobach there finishing in 5th. Definitely a good night for him. And Sam Maxwell, after that speeding penalty, recovers to finish 6th. Definitely not the night he was hoping for after being so fast in the early run-in, but nonetheless, nothing to really be too shameful about with his strong night. Here is Brian Yazik pulling it down. In fact, he's got to do more burnouts. We thought he was done. Nope. He's got more in the tank to do that. Hungry for donuts, and probably let the engine cool off, so he can probably go for a little bit longer as well.
Yeah, he is definitely happy about this one, Peter. Only his second Hacksaw PC's Premier Series victory of the season, but it came in style here in that number 55, getting it done in Nashville in the All-Star race.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Like you see right there, Brian Yazik, he's the All-Star of 2020 here. And what a stellar year it has been. We'll see if we can get some post-race interviews lined up for you here on 3Wide TV. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk to your All-Star here in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks. Fully dynamic real world. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks. Fully dynamic real world cars and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome to Slice Pizza Bar, where we're passionate about great pizza. All of our food is made fresh daily using only the finest ingredients and techniques. Our chefs put their heart and soul into each pie, and we're sure you'll taste the difference. Located on both Indian Rocks and Madeira beaches, chances are we're right around the corner for your next pizza night or dinner date. Come give us a try and experience the slice difference.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Nashville Fairgrounds, where tonight's All-Star has come to a finish. And I'll tell you what a finish it was. Had us on our toes all the way to the end. Well, let's see if we can dial up tonight's third place finisher, driver of the number 24 of Alan Young. Alan, you got a copy?
And four.
Well, I'll tell you what, bud, you know, we've mentioned this to you before, and I'm sure you've listened here to the 3-Wide TV broadcasts after the fact, but you just keep knocking on the door of getting to victory lane with these cup cars, and here again tonight showing that you're very, very quick around these short tracks in some very treacherous conditions. We saw for pretty much everyone at some point here tonight, they all broke sideways, but that number 24 machine looked very good with Young Gun Creations on the hood. Tell us about your night.
Pretty uneventful. I just kind of rode around and just kind of waited. I thought I had something for Brian and Greg, but just kind of used my stuff up trying to get around Crowbach and stuff there towards the end. But I will definitely take a third place to end the year.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you know, we saw some very treacherous races this season. I think back to Rockingham there on the Thursday night series. I think back to North Wilkesboro when we raced at North Wilkesboro in the Thursday night series. And then I also think back to New Hampshire there on the Cup Series side. I mean, this track here, it's not an easy racetrack. There's a lot of bumps out there. You're kind of playing with the different grooves. We saw some people right down there on the yellow line on the bottom. You kind of running up there near the middle of the racetrack. It seems like you really do well on these type of, I'd say, oddball racetracks. You know, racetracks that aren't the mile-and-a-half cookie cutter racetracks. And here tonight, very strong. And looking at next season, not, you know, a slightly different schedule next year. There's going to be difference, and there's going to be changes in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series schedule. So, Alan, what do you think about your chances in next season?
If we stay doing this, I think we'll be good. I definitely got to improve on my road course racing. I'm kind of mediocre there. My mile-and-a-half program's been getting better. Just got some more things to work on. And the short tracks, like New Hampshire and here, I enjoy it. It's just, you know, I kind of have to be mentally focused all race long, and it's just something about these places that suit me and my driving style. And I just kind of take, like, from Wilkesboro in the throwback series, I kind of took what I learned from that race and put it into tonight. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I was going to ask you, since you were one of the drivers here that raced the 87 cars in the Boswell's Country Roads Harley Davidson series, did this racetrack and with the setup and how loose and kind of how floaty the cars must have felt here tonight over the bumps, did they drive anything similar to those 87 cars?
Kind of, not exactly. I mean, for me, it's just on entry. If you got in too hard, it wanted the rear end wanted to come around. So I kind of learned from the 87 cars at Wilkesboro where you got to back your corner up, and I started doing that, and it was a lot better. So.
Well, definitely you figured this racetrack out with this car and setup combination. But I know you have a lot of people to thank here across the entire season. So let us hear it.
First of all, I'd like to thank you guys, 3-Wide TV, putting on these broadcasts. I go back and watch them pretty much the next day. Sit there, me and my son watch them. Lee Staples, Ed Bray, Jonathan Holstein, everyone at LA Sim Sport. If it wasn't for them guys, I wouldn't be doing this. They kind of keep pushing me. My brother, Aiden, Young Guns Creation, for doing the paints. Jim and Sam for putting on the league, and everyone that I've raced this season. I can't wait for next year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next year as well here on 3 Wide TV. But Alan, congratulations on your podium finish here tonight, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you round up here in the 3 Wide TV booth again in the not too distant future. So best of luck there, Alan, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's going to do it here for tonight's third place finisher, and I believe that Mr. Greg Rentz has caught up with tonight's runner-up, another Greg Evans.
And Greg, picking up right where you left off here this season, up front, leading laps, in contention for the win, leading 9 laps tonight. But man, tell us about that battle here, the entire second half of the race with Brian Yazik.
Man, that was a lot of fun. The setup was, you couldn't really trust it at times. You'd think he could get a run and get on the gas, and just couldn't do anything with it. I probably should have tried to hold Brian off a little bit stronger, a little bit harder than what I did, but I just thought, he's trying to save tires, let him go. But man, that was a blast. It was definitely a handful, and congratulations to Brian. He definitely deserved it tonight.
Greg, it was another stellar week for you here. You won the All-American 400 earlier in the week, and again, just coming out, running very strong in the early stages, up front, leading laps. You started 6th, worked your way up into the lead very quickly, battling with Sam Maxwell in the early stages, and then fighting with Brian Yazik at the end. How excited were you to get to come here and spend some time at the Nashville Fairgrounds, which essentially in the past had been the home track for the American Sim Racing Series back in the NR 2003 days, to be able to come here now on iRacing and relive some of those days of when ASRS was starting out and come to one of the historic venues of the racetrack? How cool was it here this week to spend time in Nashville?
Man, Nashville is an iconic racetrack. It's definitely a blast to drive. The super late model setup, the way that it handles was a lot of fun. Tonight was it was just a handful. I mean, you had to really get up on the wheel and drive it, and put on a really good show from what I heard. So, battling with Sam there, that was fun. I think he had the fastest car tonight, and I think he got a speeding penalty. I got into Mitch, and I definitely didn't mean to do that. But man, it was definitely a handful tonight. I wish we could have got the W at Nashville, but man, Nashville's a fun track. You gotta really, it's one of those racetracks you really gotta drive, no matter what car you're in. And going back and forth with different cars, they all handle differently. I really couldn't bring anything over from the super late model to this. With super late model, I was running the bottom. In the Cup car, you was kind of about a middle of the groove to upper groove. My man, just really happy with the year we had, and I can't think of a better way to finish off the year.
And let's talk for just a moment about the year you had. 12 wins on the year, winning the championship here in the Hacksaw PC's Premier Series, an All-American 400 win to go along with it, and then a second in the All-Star race. It was an outstanding year here in 2020. So here's my question: how do you top that next year?
We're gonna take some time off. We're planning on coming back here next year, and I'd love to have the same season next year. It's just you got to enjoy some time off, but we'll be getting back at it here not for too long, and just trying to get things set up for next year. Got a lot of different things changing. I can't thank Hacksaw PC enough. I can't wait to get that PC in. Sam Maxwell and Serve Pro for putting on the Wheelman Showdown. I got a lot of different things to get set up, and a lot of different changes happening, and little girl coming next year. But if we can repeat this year or have anything close to it, and that's what we're going for, and we'll just kind of see what happens.
Greg, final time here in 2020 for you to do this. You know the drill by now. Thank you, sponsors.
Oh yeah, definitely got to thank Duct Tape and Shear Tape, T-Rex Tape, Freightliner, Detroit Diesel, Engines, Carolina Sim Works, iRacing Knife Flag, my guys Steel Horse, and all my teammates over here, Sam and John. And just like I said, thank Sam and Jim for putting on this series, and Hacksaw PC and Serve Pro. we definitely can't do without those guys. And thank you guys a lot for being here every week, or every week, broadcasting these races. And like I said, congratulations to Brian. He really earned it tonight. We both had a handful, and we was both picking around, but he did it tonight. So congratulations to him, and hope everybody has a good off season. Enjoy the holidays, and have a Merry Christmas.
Second place in the All-Star race, but your 2020 champion, Greg Evans. Congratulations. We'll see you next year.
Guys, have a good evening.
And I believe that Peter Short has made it down to victory lane, where he's going to catch up with one very, very excited driver, the number 55. Peter Short is with Brian Yazik.
That I am, and the all-star of the all-stars here tonight, Brian Yazik. Boy, I'll tell you what, when you made that pass there with 39 laps to go to the outside of Greg Evans, man, you made it look easy. What was going through your mind at that point? Did you have an inclination that getting out front would be the place to be so that you'd be able to kind of hold on to that spot? We saw that passing was fairly difficult here tonight, but that one pass that you made it look easy. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, Peter, just watching the first half of the race kind of unfold, it kind of was like a short track version of Kansas, if that kind of makes any sense. So kind of learning that the top lane was kind of the spot to be, and definitely, at least with the setup that was there. Turn 2, there was some bumps down there that would really upset the car. But I knew I could maybe get the bottom in turn 3 and 4 if I could get a good enough run out of 1 and 2. And I tried that a couple times, and it washed out. And then I got in there, and I thought, man, maybe he might fake low or go low to try to block me. And I said, well, let's see what's up here in this groove. And by God, it stuck. And we went rocketing by, and I thought, okay, we can kind of get into defense. I forgot to breathe a lot in that run, so that was exciting. Trying to sort all that out on the fly, but it's just it was just one of those moments that you didn't know it was going to work, but you're really, really glad that it did.
Yeah, you sent it in there, it stuck, and you blew around him, got to the race lead, you did not look back, and you were so excited after the win. You not only did one set of burnouts, you did a double burnout. You came back around and did another one. I think that kind of bookends the season pretty darn well for you, Brian. Like we mentioned a couple times here tonight, you got that win at Kentucky. You also got a win at Daytona in the Thursday night series. But how cool is it to win at this racetrack? I know this racetrack is one of the tracks that a lot of people have wanted on iRacing for quite some time because it is very unique. And here tonight, of course, those bumps. We're playing havoc with a lot of drivers here tonight. How'd you get over those bumps all night long? How'd you figure it out?
It's it's like a lot of short track racing there, Peter, where if you could just kind of keep the right rear on it, that could help you out. I was learning, kind of the points where the car would get really upset, and it was over those bumps. So if you think, okay, if I move a little bit to the right, or if I hold my throttle a little differently through here, I mean, the first half of that run, I probably the first half of the first run there, I wasn't full throttle until we were probably mostly the way down the straight, just trying to keep the right rear on it. But then you needed both right side tires to really work with it. You needed the right front to hook so you could get through and maneuver around the bumps, and you needed the right rear to plant so you could make that work. But if you could mitigate that spin, on the right rear, you could make it work. And really, I kind of stumbled on practice. You can get a good launch if you did it right. I didn't think about I was soaking in the moment on post race there. Just a lot of good things, and 2020 has taught us anything. Just enjoy the little moments that you get out there in the universe that make you happy.
And of course, one thing that we mentioned up here in the booth, there just after you cross the start-finish line to take home the win, you still have that Bryce Whitson memorial car, paying tribute to Bryce Whitson. And I think if you were to talk to Jim Foose or anyone else in the league, if you were to say something about Bryce Whitson, and from what I've learned from a lot of people and what they've said about him, is that he was an all-star. He was an all-star for the league. And I think it's very fitting that you pay tribute to him and pick up the win here tonight in the All-Star.
Yeah, and It is special. Bryce was an all-star. I had some Facebook memories pop up today from a couple years ago that made me smile again. I wanted, when we put that paint scheme on the car, I wanted to get it at Victory Lane. It was the only place that that felt right. So I'm glad that, yeah, you're right. I'm glad we're able to get Bryce into Victory Lane at the All-Star race.
Yeah, definitely a very, very cool thing. But hey, you know what? That's 2020 wrapped up. And 2021, we're going to start things all up on February 10th back at Daytona. What are your thoughts about 2021? We have some interesting ones on there. We're going to tracks like Circuit of the Americas, and as well as a few other new venues there on the Premier Cup Series side of things. Anything next season that already stands out to you?
I like a lot of the road courses. I like where that goes. I kind of like driving this car on the road course. It's especially fun because I still use a Logitech G27 H-pattern shifter over here, so it's really fun to rip around the road courses in these cars. But yeah, we're looking forward to just kind of that diversity and getting out there. We learned a lot this year, some mistakes and things like that to bring towards next year. It's funny, with Daytona coming, my wife, the due date for her first son is right around February 10th. So Daytona might be a little hit or miss for us here in the Yazek household up here in Michigan, but it'll be fun to kick off 2021 for a lot of various reasons. And I'm just glad I get to do what I get to do. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope to see you on track at Daytona, but if not, we hope it is for good reasons. But I got to say, before we let you go, Brian, I know you have shout-outs to give HPP Simulation on the hood of that car all season long, but I know you got some others to thank, so let's hear them.
Absolutely. HPP Simulation, we're going on next year, be fourth year with HPP on the car, so shout out to Mark for keeping support going all these years. And, Thumbs Up Cancer Down, a fantastic charity out in out in California. Really worth a couple clicks. Really, really fantastic people. Clipping That Apex, Amsoil by Adam Patel. Sim racing apps. There's just a lot of people that believe and have fun around us, and I'm glad that we get to reciprocate that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great group of people, and it has been a wonderful family to be a part of for the second season in a row here in the American Sim Racing Series, and I'm looking forward to 2021 with you guys as well. But Brian, best of luck. Hope everything goes nice and smoothly with your son along the way, and we'll hope to get to talk to you back when we see you on the beaches of Daytona.
Oh, absolutely. One final shout out, spotlights. That was the whole reason that move on the outside worked. Get yourself some spotlights. Midwest Simulation. Do it.
All right. Well, there you guys go. That is tonight's All-Star, Brian Yazek. And folks, that's going to pretty much do it, except for the fact that we have to go through the final race results. And Greg, got to say, Brian Yazek in that number 55 machine, once he got the lead, he never looked back.
Absolutely, Peter. Brian Yazek got the lead with 39 laps to go and led from there. He got the win over Greg Evans in the number 2 with Alan Young rounding out the podium. We just talked to all three of them. Kelsey Rogers, after the early spin, able to fight back and get himself up in the 4th position. Michael Krobach rounds out the top 5. Nice run for him. He's going to give her a go next year in several different classes. Sam Maxwell, the early leader, led the most laps here tonight. Unfortunately, comes home 6th once it's all said and done. Jason Stewart, Grant Brown, Michael Whiting, the Open winner. Both drivers from the Open finish in the top 10. Tyler Seville rounds out the top 10, Peter.
And finishing in the 11th position here tonight, Jim Poose in the number 42. Great to have him back in a 3-wide TV broadcast race. Jeremy Banning in the number 30, finishing in 12th. Right in front of Troy Haight in the number 28 machine. James Orello, who made a mid-race charge in the number 3 machine, but had a lot of damage right there at the end. He finishes down in 14th, the last car on the lead lap. Will Warser in the number 29, he got some heavy damage there around lap number 35 or so. Same deal with Mitch Brown. They finish in 15th and 16th. And the last car to finish that started here tonight, the number 50 of Christopher Bouchard. Sam Maxwell led 47 laps before having that speeding penalty. But I'll tell you what, Greg, biggest mover of the race here tonight, Brian Yazik, who came home with the race win, finishing first, started in the 12th position, gained 11 spots here tonight after not taking the qualifying time. And I got to say, Yazik probably passed a lot of cars here tonight, and he was able to figure out how to, more importantly, get that last pass done to take the race lead.
And he said he tried the outside just on a hunch, looking for something better. And wouldn't you know it, it worked. And he got it done. Brian Yazik driving on emotion tonight, got it done. Brian Yazik is the all-star here at the home of the All-American 400, Nashville, the home track of the ASRS for many, many years. Finally back home where it belongs. And wow, what a performance it put on here tonight, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. That is for darn sure. But hey, before we go, definitely want to give a huge shout out to everyone here at the American Sim Racing Series. This is a second season here on 3Y TV that we've been able to broadcast with them. And each and every week they put on a show. Each and every week they have a very entertaining race for all you race fans to watch. Great group of people and a great league to be involved with. The oldest iRacing league that's still around today. Turning on yet another great season, and we'll see another one in 2021. That is for sure. Very much looking forward to that one right here on 3Y TV. Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series action will be coming at you here on February 10th, 2021. That's right. 2020 will be in the rear. Hopefully 2021 will be a better one for a lot of reasons. And, 2021 Hacksaw PC's Premier Cup Series, it can always be better than 2020. And hopefully it is, Greg, as we'll bring another season for everyone. But there's a day change. This year we were on Tuesday nights. Next year we will be on Wednesday nights. So make sure you don't miss that small change because you'll want to see it, Greg.
Definitely, Peter. Not sure exactly how many nights I'll be able to be a part of it next year, as our track in real life here up in Northwest runs on Wednesdays. So not sure just how many nights I'll be able to be here, but hopefully I'm able to be at least a part of it sometimes.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. But folks, I've got to give a shout out to our friends over at Sim TV for the camera angles that we brought you in basically every single race this year here on 3Y TV, as well as Mr. Carlos Acosta, the man who sits behind the cameras, manning them each and every week. And I got to say, Carlos, you're the unsung hero. You don't have your name in the graphic. When you bring up the name graphics, Carlos, you don't bring it up, but you do a stellar job. And as always, Carlos is the reason 3Y TV continues to move forward and always continuously improving. And for that, a huge shout out to him. But for myself, Peter Short, and Greg Rentz, we'll see you guys next year on the beach at Daytona, February 10th. But until then, stay safe, be happy, and have a good night. See ya!